full-fledged playoff mode here in Long Island, and this is Around the Diamond, your Tri-State baseball show focusing in on Long Island baseball. Nassau, Suffolk playoffs are in full swing this week on end-to-end on the island, and we're going to try and get it end-to-end on today's show and kind of catch you up. It's going to be tough because as we tape the show, things are changing. We had some extra inning games, some games carrying over into the next round in the Nassau playoffs. We're going to break it all down, talk about as much as we can. Be sure to stay on MSGVarsity.com and get the latest news, scores, stats, and of course videos. Eddie Margulies does an amazing job of supplying our video on MSGVarsity.com. He's done a great job baseball-wise and also on producing this show. So thanks to Eddie. We're going to start with some teams. First, how did they get into the postseason? We had teams that clinched playoff berths a long time ago and some teams that waited to the bitter end to do it. One of those teams being Patchogue Medford. Pat Med needed their final game. It came down to the final game of the regular season, and they knocked off Longwood 2-1 just a couple days after losing a 1-0 game to Longwood. PJ Martino came up huge, a 3-hitter with 10 strikeouts for Pat Med. Rich Chiaffo tied the game in the 5th with an RBI single, and then John Warasilla drove him in with an RBI double all in the 5th inning for a 2-1 win. So Pat Med getting into the Suffolk County Class AA field, celebrating on the field afterwards as they just qualify for the Class AA field in Suffolk County. Joining them as well was Commack. Commack went into their final game after losing twice to Ward Melville earlier in the week. Needed that one win to get into the postseason. We were at their final game, and they pulled it off, knocking off Ward Melville 7-4 on Thursday. Commack, as he said, entering the final game, tie game in the 8th inning. Mike Smith smacked a 2-run homer in the 8th to break the game open. They won the game 7-4, and here I believe is the home run. It's deep and gone, a home run, and that was the difference in the game. 7-4 win. Jesse Berardi also homered and drove in 4 runs in this game. Jesse Kilmetis got the win on the mound for Commack, and just a dramatic victory for Commack as they get to the postseason. And we caught up with them afterwards as they celebrated their Class AA playoff berth in Suffolk.
Where it counts, and I definitely been struggling getting RBIs and help my team out. But coming at the plate today, I knew that I wasn't going to let them down again, and I couldn't do it. And I knew at that bat that I had to do something for my team, and I wasn't going to let the seniors go home early. But it wasn't just me; it was the whole team. It was Jesse on the mound, our starter, and all the players that came out today. And I'm just happy that I was able to contribute to my part as long as everyone else was.
And it was getting a little dark there for Commack, and they came through. There was Michael Smith. It was so excited after the game. Our cameraman Eddie Margulies couldn't get him to stand still for the interview, but we did just enough. And he hits a home run, got the trotter on the bases, celebrating a huge win for Commack as they got into the Class AA field in Suffolk as well. But before we get into the postseason mode, let's talk about the 2 teams in Class A in Suffolk that are most likely going to play for a Class A championship, that being Shore and Wading River and the defending champions, Bayport Blue Point. They played 3 times last week, and they needed 28 innings for the 3 games to be finished. Extra innings in all 3 of them. 1-0 Shoreham win. Brian Morrell with scored on a wild pitch in the 13th inning of the first game for a 1-0 Shoreham win. And Jack Picos had 17 strikeouts in that game. Got a no decision for Bayport. He got a little redemption in the next time they played. In Saturday, in the second game, again the game we were at here, Bayport down to their final out in the 7th. Trailing 6-5, Dan Campanelli with an RBI single, forced extra innings, and then Jack Picos came through with a little redemption, a 2-out walk-off RBI single in the 8th inning, and that won the game for Bayport Blue Point. Dramatic win as defending champions, pull off the stunner. And that was in Game 2. Then Game 3, they played again. And then in the bottom of the 8th, John Montesano drove in the game-winning run for Shore and Wading River, a 3-2 win. So those 2 teams, Shore and Wading River finished regular season 16-3. They are the #1 seed in the Class A tournament in Suffolk. And they are the team to beat. But it's going to be tough because these teams have very little separation for them. Bayport, the team that won it all last year, won the state championship in New York State in Class A last year. They're going to be a tough out. So round 4 and 5 are going to be very fun to watch out in Suffolk. So now we move on to the playoffs, and we start in Class AA, and that we talked about Commack before, and they took on West Islip in the opening round of the Suffolk County playoffs in Class AA. Now, West Islip stumbled a little bit late in the season, losing 2 times to Smithtown East in the final week. They had won 8 in a row before that. Maybe that was what they needed to kind of refocus them as they get ready for the postseason. And right here, they knocked off Comac 3-0 in the AA quarterfinal in the first round on Monday. And it was a lot because of Brett Bainon, 2 for 3 in an RBI, and Nick Arnold, a complete game with 4 strikeouts. West Islip will play number 1 seed Station North on Wednesday at 4 p.m. and they celebrate this one.
I definitely kept my composure this time. I pounded the zone, relied on my defense a lot. I knew they were going to make the plays. Got one of the best defenses out there, and I knew I had the best stuff this game. Coming into the game, we were all pumped. Underclassmen were ready. We were all ready. Seniors wanted a big win. We wanted to take this one home. We want to go all the way. We finished last week off pretty bad with 2 straight losses, and we came out hot.
And Nick Arnold, the 4 strikeouts, the complete game victory, did a nice job of just kind of working on in and out of trouble. So West Islip advances now to take on the top-seeded Station North, as we said, on Wednesday at 4 p.m. in the quarterfinals. And we take a look now at the complete field and the complete schedule for Class AA in Suffolk County, the scores and schedule from this opening round, the quarterfinal round. And as you said, West Islip knocked off Comac 3-0. You had Lindenhurst knocking off West Babylon 7-2. Kings Park taking care of East Islip. Now Ward Melville needing 7 runs in the 4th inning to beat Eastport South Manor. This was a big game because Matt Annunziata came back for Eastport South Manor after tearing his ACL in late December. First game back, he had 2 hits, but it wasn't enough in that 9-4 loss. Pat Med continued that momentum, knocking off Smithtown West 14-3. Andy Garcia and Zach Genoway each homered. Connecticut upsetting, I guess you call it upset, 10-7 being upset. A 4-1 win over Longwood. Brandon Morris with a big blow, a 2-run double in the 5th. And then Hills West, the number 2 seed, just getting by number 15th, the dangerous North Babylon squad. Owen McMenemy, game-winning 2-out RBI double in the 6th inning. John Ferracci, 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. Moving on now, here's the schedule for the winners bracket. Those games are on Wednesday. West Islip Station North, as we talked about. Lindenhurst taking on Kings Park, Pat Med, Ward Melville, Connecticut, and Hills West. Now the losers bracket, these teams are not done. North Babylon, the 15th seed, dangerous, taking on a Longwood squad that 2 weeks ago you could have made a case for them to be the AA champions in Suffolk County, now needing to beat maybe one of the Cinderella teams. The 7th seed Longwood taking on North Babylon, West Babylon taking on East Islip. Eastport going to take on Smithtown West in the other losers bracket matchup. And we talked about the Class A and B fields, really the A field in Suffolk County, how things are kind of the crescendo building towards the Shoreham-Bayport matchup again. Well, here's the field. They got to get through the first couple rounds first to get to that point. And we have West Hampton taking on Islip in the 5-4 matchup. Rocky Point Harborfield, Sayville, Bayport, and of course Shoreham gets a bye in the opening round. That was the reward for their 28 innings in 3 games, taking 2 out of 3 from Bayport. And here's how the winners bracket matches up. Shoreham's going to take on the winner of West Hampton Islip. And then you see the schedule right there, the losers bracket. And would you be shocked if you had a Bayport Shoreham matchup in the championship? I wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't be upset either. And that is how things look in Class A. Now we look at Class B. And Class B only has 2 teams, and those 2 teams are Centum Riches Manitowoc. Manitowoc, just storming along all season long, swept Centum Riches. They got to do it again, or at least beat them 2 times to win another Class B championship in Suffolk County. They are the team to beat right now. A lot of people telling me that Manitowoc, even though they're Class B, and I know we put division into the poll last week in Nassau in Class A, and you're putting a Class A team in the field, does Manitowoc belong? And some people feel they belong in the Tri-State poll. They're going to have to earn it. I think they're going to have to win the Class B championship in all of Long Island to be even consideration for the Tri-State poll. So that is how things are shaping up in Suffolk. We now go to Nassau. And Oceanside was a team that, you tabbed as a team, maybe that double-digit seed. They just got there as into the playoffs, and they took on Syosset over the weekend on Saturday. Another very good one. Chris Hood, 4 strikeouts for the complete game victory as Oceanside knocked off Syosset 2-0. Nick Velakis made a diving catch in the outfield, a big catch in this game. As you said, Hood just dominated pretty much all the way through, a complete game shutout. Pat Broder had an RBI in the 2nd inning of this game, a 2-0 win. Great defense for Oceanside and a great win over Syosset as they move on to the best of 3 round in the quarterfinals of the Nassau County tournament. And we're going to take a look now at the Nassau County field. Is that right? We're going to look at the Nassau County playoffs to see the best of 3. And that started actually on Tuesday with the opening round games of the best of 3 tournament games. And we can take a look at those matchups now, and some very good matchups as well. First you see Oceanside continue the momentum, knocking off the top-seeded Mentum. Jake Santamaria, a complete game win, 7 strikeouts. Now you see a tie, not really a tie. We don't have ties in the postseason. MacArthur and East Meadow. And MacArthur is going to have to resume this game on Wednesday. Then they're going to start game 2 immediately. Give them a little bit of a break, but it's going to start afterwards. MSG Varsity is going to be at that game. Be sure to check it online. Eddie Marbley is going to be out at that one. They're going to try and resume this game. It was stopped because of darkness in the 12th inning. Resume that game, play game 2. Could be one team walking out of there with 2 wins in one day. The other matchups, Hicksville knocked off Massapequa 3-2. Matt Sotras game go-ahead RBI on a go-ahead run scored on a double steal in the 4th inning. And then Plainview JFK, maybe your Cinderella team in Nassau, a 2-1 win over Calhoun. Jeremy Lambert, RBI in the top of the 7th, drove in Spencer McCorney for a 2-1 win. And here is how things match up now in the Class A quarterfinals. You have Garden City taking on Division. In the Division, the top-seeded team, really the clear favorite, I think. North Shore are going to try and give them a little bit of a run there. The number 2 hosting Hewitt. Floral Park, the number 6 seed against Clark. Belmore JFK taking on 13-seeded Seaford. Seaford with the upset. They get to host, even though they're the lower seed in the Class A field. The Class A quarterfinals, those games are all on Thursday in Nassau. And now on to the ever-evolving, ever-changing, the revolving door that is our Tri-State MSG Varsity baseball poll. When we set out before the season started, we knew there would be a lot of changes because of the way baseball goes, and this week we saw a lot more changes. We have 20 teams on our poll, and only 2 are in the same spot that they were in last week. You could probably guess who at least one of them are. It's going to be our number 1 team. If you've been following along all season long, it's been hard to knock them out of that number 1 spot. Pretty much everything after it has changed, so we're going to start now with our bottom teams. And our top 20 team, our number 20 team is Old Bridge. Now they suffered a 2-1 loss to East Brunswick, but they came back and beat previously number 11 ranked Wall out New Jersey 4-0. So they're going to drop in the poll 12 spots, but they're going to hang in there at the number 20 spot. Division, Class A squad out in Long Island. They're going to get underway on Thursday in their county tournament. Looks like they're going to move on and play for at least for a Long Island championship in Class A. Our number 18 team is St. Dom, and St. Dominic was cruising along. They were in, I think they got as high as a number 4 team in our poll, and things are just kind of falling apart a little bit for them of late, and losing twice to Chaminade, now twice to Kellenberg. So St. Dom's going to stick at our number 18th spot. I still like their chances moving forward, playing for a Catholic championship in Long Island. The number 17 team also is out New Jersey, that being Milburn. Previously, another team dropping 12 spots from number 5 to 17. They were upset by 10th-seeded Caldwell 4-3 in the quarterfinals of the Greater Newark tournament, so that explains their slide. And the number 16 team is Indian Hills at 16-2-1. Their only 2 losses this season are 1-run losses to Ramapo and Teaneck. So they were unranked. They move into the poll at number 16. Number 15 squad is that being MacArthur. Now MacArthur's at a very interesting point right now because their season could come down to today if they have to resume their quarterfinal matchup, the opening round game against East Meadow. They're tied 1-1 in the 12th. They're going to finish that game and then play the next round. They lose them both and they are done for the season. Number 14 team is our number 1 seed in Suffolk in Class AA, that being Sachem North, the 17-2 squad. They move up 5 spots in the poll. Number 13 is Fairfield Prep. They've rebounded after losing to West Haven earlier in the year. They beat them pretty soundly this week. Kevin Stone pitching about as well as anybody in really all of the state of Connecticut for Fairfield Prep. Our number 12 team, they fell out of the poll last week and they jump back up to the number 12 spot, that being Don Bosco. Interesting matchup. They're facing Bergen Catholic in the quarterfinals of the Bergen County tournament on Saturdays. Don Bosco lost them twice, looking for a little revenge in that friendly rivalry that they have. And our number 11 team is Beacon, 16-2 Class A squad from Section 1. They are storming towards the postseason. Tony Romanelli, who's headed to Wake Forest, his 100th career hit last week for Beacon High School. So that being Beacon Division. If we added the Beacon Division, I'm not sure how the state brackets match up this year in New York, but if they ever played for a state championship game, that'd be pretty special to watch up in Binghamton, that being many, many games, many, many wins, and a couple weeks away. Now we go to our top 10 teams in our poll, and it's loaded with New Jersey, as it's kind of been the theme here the last couple of weeks. Hunterdon Central, the first of those teams. Pat Clare pitching extremely well, 6-1 on the year for Hunterdon Central. Now we have a team that wasn't ranked last week, and now they are single digits, and that being Roxbury. They are on a roll. They moved up 10 spots in the New Jersey poll, which is not an easy thing to do. 16-game winning streak for Roxbury, highlighted with a win over West Morris. They're now in the Morris County Championship game on Wednesday night. Number 8 squad is Chaminade, still riding high after their 2 wins last week over St. Dom's, their rival. The number 7 squad is Ward Melville, 16-4 from Long Island. And our number 6 squad, Poly Prep, 19-3, surviving a scare from Berkeley Carroll this past week, looking for a 4th straight New York State Independent School Championship later in the year. Morgan Gray's back from a back injury. That is a huge boost for Poly Prep moving forward. Now our top 5 squads, St. Joe's Regional moving up 1 spot to 6th to number 5. 11 consecutive wins was snapped by Indian Hills, but still, they're just playing so well. They rebounded with a win, and it was his 600th win in Frank Salvano's storied career for St. Joseph Regional. Number 4 squad, this is one of the 2 teams that doesn't move this week, that being Ketchum, 16-1, a walk-off win. Tim Zenbauer coming through with a 2-run single in the 7th to knock off John Jay's Fishkill. They're motoring into the Class AA playoffs in Section 1. St. Peter's Prep is our number 3 squad at 20-3. They actually drop a spot after losing into Union City in the opening round of the Hudson County tournament, so they drop only 1 spot. St. Peter's Prep, not much to worry about with that loss. Moving up and taking their spot at number 2 is Bergen Catholic. Not an easy matchup, as we talked about. They're taking on Don Bosco in the quarterfinals of the Bergen County tournament on Saturday. They're 17-2-1. And our number 1 squad, Seton Hall Prep, at 21-2. They'll face Cedar Grove on Saturday in pursuit of their 2nd straight Greater Newark tournament title, that being Seton Hall Prep. So them and Ketchum are the only teams that don't move in this week's poll. Be sure to check back next week for the poll and next week for all of our shows. I want to thank the guys in the control room for what they did this week. A little short-handed, but nice job for them. Eddie, Dan, and Chris Karen for what they've done editing all of our video for today's show. I want to thank you for watching. Join us next week on Around the Diamond. I'm your host, Kevin Devaney Jr., and I'll see you next week.